Let's take a look at the functionality of the towering GUI as we have it right now, and we will see what needs to be changed in the code when I talked from the previous episode. First things first, you notice that the moment I put it on the floor, it was powered, and that's not what I want. However, there's one more thing. If you take a look, we are just moving down, 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 and down without having any block being broken at the end of the road. So if I move all the way down to the bottom, you'll see that we are getting to the bedrock and I didn't collect any item from the top. So here's a question. First of all, why did my block started with activated state? Maybe it was not the case and I did screw up something, or maybe it actually starts with activated state. Let's move down on the floor and put another one and boom, it goes down. So let's dive out of the game and take a look at our code. So towering GUI. Our logic says that if we are gonna return, return. And let's go to the GUI base and take a look at that logic. So we say if we should not spread, get out. Okay, or this is a combo condition. So we want to make sure that the state is not null and state.get properties powered. This returns a boolean by itself. Okay, so this state will become true. We are negating it, so it's false, then return false. And here we are asking, there we go, that's wrong. If we are false, this condition will never met because this condition needs to be true so that we return. In that case, we need to switch back from false to true all the way around this method, true, true, and false. And finally, I have a problem here that says if this can be simplified. Okay, if that's the case, return, yeah, that can be done. Okay, so our logic was wrong because basically when we are not powered, we will returning false. And here we are saying that if we are true, return. But now that we are correct, we are returning true. So here we will say, okay, just return. That being said, remove suppression. Now this is behaving correctly. As you notice, I had to put these suppress warnings because it would say that, hey, the word will be null and you need to make sure that the word is not null because I was negating this code. Now it's fixed. So we will have the stone. Where are you? And again, now this is redundant. So the code is working now. However, as I said, the second issue that we have with this code is that when we are not blacklisted, naturally we are turning to air and get rid of the block. This is not what I want. What I want is that I want to break the block like a player is breaking it with a pickaxe or a shovel. And at the end, we should be able to collect it. We need to tweak this logic. We say, if we are not in the blacklist, do this. Else, if we are not in the blacklist, do this. Okay. However, now we want to make sure that we will do two things. Not only we will replace ourselves. Let me show a demonstration of what I want to do, and then we will understand what is the situation here. Okay, before we go into the game, let me tell you something. If you recall in previous video, my IntelliSense was not working because the project was being indexed. That caused some headache for me. For example, I was missing some imports. Part of my code was wrong, and at some point I think I was doing some wrong method calls. I had typos. So if you see that the code was not working, just compare it to the repository, okay? And the link for the repository is in the Discord channel, and the link for the Discord channel is in the description. So let's go back to the game and see what we are doing and if we fix that immediate activation of the GUI block first, and then we will see what is our situation. Okay, let's find another, come on, tree, and let's see if it was fixing itself or not this time. So the desired thing is that I should put the block and it shouldn't be activated. There we go. Now, if I hit it with the copper rod, there we have it. Now it's behaving, okay? And as you see, it's going down, down, down. And you can actually stand on it. It's really safe because it's replacing the blocks around itself, as you see with the solid stone. Okay, now here's the thing. What I want is this. Right now, what we are doing is that we look at the block below ourselves. We will destroy it. We will put ourselves, and after a few maybe ticks, we destroy ourselves, and it will become an empty block. However, what I want is that instead of removing this block, I will break it like any normal block. And then let me do this. And then if I now put the block here, you see that it pushes up the item. that's exactly what I want. Okay, so if I put the item there and move back so that the item will not be absorbed by me and put the block, it pushes the item up. And now if I break this, you see that the item is below. So the process is this. Before putting the block here, I need to break the previous block and then put a new goo block, and then we are golden. It means that in this section of code, before putting a tower goo, somehow we want to break the block. Now, I had seen people saying that you should use server word here. That makes sense, but let's take a look at word first and see what we have in the class. So if I open the word class, I have a method called break block. Here we go. Now, break block is a complete method sitting inside the word class. Now, if I want to make a look at the server word class, we should see that we are not gonna overwrite the break block. That doesn't make sense, does it? If we overwrite it, then I don't know why do we have it in the word class by itself. As I see so far, we are not overwriting the break block. You can make your life easier, search for break, and you see that you don't have a break word at all in here. Now let's start with lowercase b. Maybe that's the case. No, that's not the case. So server word is not overwriting the break block. And as I said, that makes sense. But if you want to, you just open it and do a simple search, paste, and you see that it's red. Okay, that means that it's not there. We can use word break block. Now, of course, the position is the position. Drop should be true because we want to drop the block. Then the breaking entity, it's the block entity. It doesn't matter because if you look, the only thing that it's doing is that it's saying drop the stacks, block entity, breaking entity, blah, and then emit game event, block destroyed by this entity. So max update depth is actually that block notify all because that's the last parameter in the set block state. Okay, actually it's after flags. Let me take a look. It says max update depth. I think it's telling the blocks how many blocks around itself it should warn, and let's take a look at that. And if max update depth is greater than 0, it says block state prepare for this position -1, update neighbors -1, and prepare -1. Okay, we can basically use 0 here. I don't care about that. Okay, we will take a look if it will work or not actually. We simply say word dot break the block for us. And as you see, it has an overload that doesn't accept that max update. And there is an overload that it's not even using that entity. And that's exactly what I want, the position and true. So we will drop the item. Okay, now I need to do the same thing over and over and over for all of these cases. And remember, because we are using the else if, it means that if we were successful on breaking the block right underneath ourselves, we will not try to parse any other block around ourselves and we are safe. Now, the only question remaining, and this is a really big one, is what will happen if the block underneath us is lava? Okay, now let's see if this is a successful thing or not. Let's go into the game. Let me put the tower right beneath my foot, okay? And I will move on top and I will make sure that I'm on the center and I will activate it. The desired behavior was that I should get blocks. However, I'm getting the towering goo. Okay, this is not the design and the behavior I was hoping to get, but we see that the blocks are breaking. The thing is that the block is actually the goo. It shouldn't, because don't ask me why. I'm not sure. We will have to take a look at that. Okay, that's enough of that test. But as you saw, we can sit on the goo and go down with the goo because it's a safe travel. Now, let's go back to the logic and take a look at what we are doing. Oh, yeah, I'm derping. Actually, I'm breaking myself's position. I want the new position because that's the one that is below me. And now I have to be careful. And I will tell you why. Because this one is correct. At this situation, we are going down. So I will make sure that we will break the proper block before going anywhere. Okay, that's one problem solved. Now, there is one more problem that you may not see it in first glance. Let me put a demonstration for you. And let's say that this is the block that we want to break. And of course, we are looking from going in this direction. Now, normally, what we are doing is that we are looking around this block on a horizontal state, left, right, back, and front. And if we have lava there, we will remove them and convert them to stone. It was okay because we were directly setting ourselves below and we were not caring about anything else. If it was lava, that's okay. We would put an instance of ourselves there. However, now is not okay because if we have lava below ourselves, remember, in the first pass, now what will happen is that this block, let's say it was a, I don't know, normal stone block, will be broken into a stone block item. What will happen? The stone block item will touch the lava and there is a chance that we will lose it before we will put our block here to push it upward. It will touch lava. So to fix that, when we were looking around ourselves, now we need to look at the bottom too. And here we say position side 2. If I remove this and say side, you see that we have an overload that says side bottom. Now this one will return all the sides with the bottom at the same time. Just by changing this simple method call, now we fixed it because now we are looking at the block below ourselves. If it was lava, please break it and put a stone there for us. Of course, I'm converting lava to a stone. You can argue that it became a useless stone generator. But here's the thing, why did I call it useless? Because what is the chance of having 15 blocks of lava, one below the other one? Really rare. And even if that was the case, how many stones did I get? 15. Now, if you remember, the recipe for the goose will use enderite. Of course, right now we don't have any way of producing enderite other than visiting the end dimension. And if that's the case, think about how useful those 15 stone blocks would be. It's not a game mechanic breaking, nothing like that. Even if I would give you a way to craft enderite from something like ender pearls, I would go with something like 16 ender pearls being one enderite, okay? Or maybe one raw enderite. So you would need to process that raw enderite and get the enderite means that it was not cheap. So to get one goo block that would result into 15 stones, you have used lots of ender pearls. And honestly, I don't think it's a game breaking mechanic. So I'm totally okay with converting lava or water into stone or air into stone. Actually, stone is cheap. So that's it. Now, this is finished. Here's a question. What if I would want to put a ladder here? Let me give you an example. Now, instead of setting ourselves to air at the end, let me comment this. And let's say that we want to be a ladder. Okay, be a ladder and let's run the game. So right now I should have ladders and at the end of the tunnel I should have enough broken blocks as items in my inventory. As the game is coming up, let me explain something to you. Do I want to really have ladders? No, actually no. This is just a demonstration so that you know that something like ladder can be placed, and the reason that we can place it is that I made sure that all around ourselves is solid blocks. Yes, there is a chance that one side will have, I don't know, a bush or leaves or something like that, but the other walls may have a chance of being solid. And honestly, I think it's more possible to have at least one solid block around ourselves compared to the chance of having absolutely no solid block and all around us would be leaves in the cave. And if that's the case, well, we will have 2 or 3 or 5 broken ladders at the end. Okay, let's see. Now I will add one and I will move to the center and I will activate it. So yes, it's putting ladders there, it's breaking dirt, it's breaking stone, and let's go into our inventory and take a look. So our stone is being broken, and as you see, we are putting ladders as we're going down. There is no lava beneath us, there is no lava around us, a very safe and I think fast traveling goo toward the bedrock. I'm not sure how fast it is, but actually it's a lazy thing to do, you know, just put it there, go drink a cup of coffee and come back and it's there. Honestly, I think it's much faster than having to dig down all the way with pickaxes, putting the ladders. I think it's much faster than that. And we are already in deepest late layer. And from here on, the goo is behaving much faster than something like stone pickaxe. Of course, don't forget, this is a config, and if you increase the chance, well, it will behave faster. And I can show you what I mean by just moving outside of the game and coming back into the run. And by the way, the game is continuing forward. And as you see, we already hit the bedrock before I even be successful to open my run folder. Okay, now if I look at my inventory, you see that I have dirt, cobblestone, andesite, gravel, deep slate cobble, and tough. And I didn't break anything valuable. Well, we were unlucky. Let me see. We'll try to increase the speed. Let me just go out and I will remove that ladder thingy because that's not the desired behavior. It was just a demonstration to you. So let me go out of the game. I will remove this. I will uncomment this and go into the config, find my config, come down into our goo blocks, and as you see, we have this air bomb chance. Now remember, 5 means 5% chance each tick. Now if I increase this to something like 50, it will be really fast because every 2 tick we will drop down. Let's take a look at that in game. I will roll it back to 5. Maybe I will put it as 10. I don't know. Now here's something that I will talk about as the game comes up. The deal to set the numbers is up to you. No one knows what is the best number at the start of coding. We guess some numbers, but then when we start test playing the game, we feel like, you know what, it was a little bit slow. I should go faster. And you may want to double the speed, maybe multiply by 4. It depends on the numbers. But as you see, in case of something like lava eating goo, I went very slowly. I only gave 2% chance per tick. And there is a reason for that. In contrast to that, for water eating, I'm going really fast. And again, there is a reason for that. If you think about it, lava spreads really slowly. And honestly, having a very fast replacement for lava eating, well, that's not very lore friendly in any game for Minecraft. But on the other hand, water creates water sources really fast. So if I break a block of water that is sitting between 2 other blocks of water, the moment I will return to air, immediately I will become the water source again. So instead of going slow, this time we want to be really fast so that we replace every water block as fast as we can. So let's get rid of this junk inside my inventory. I wish if I could hit a vein somewhere down the line. However, now that I don't have the ladders, it's a little bit dangerous. Okay, this is how fast we are going down. Boom, 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 boom. And I think, yeah, we are in deepest slate and bedrock. Again, no such luck as getting into ore blocks. What I want to show you now is that we should not break any valuable ore in any place, in any shape or any form. So let's try another block. Let's move on top, break it. Now, how would I know if I break something? There we go. That's exactly what I wanted to see. You see, the block that I'm looking at is iron ore, and the iron ore is not broken. Of course, if I break it, I will drop down immediately because below this iron ore, chances are that our goo block moved down and there is a huge tunnel down there. However, the goo block didn't break this iron block. So let's break it. And yes, the goo block went all the way down to bedrock and again broke more cobblestone on deepest slate and other places for us. So it's behaving properly. It's actually keeping in mind that it shouldn't break any valuable block. But as you saw, now we have to keep in mind that we may drop to our death because the moment we break that iron block with the speed that the goo is going down, well, we will be face to face with our doom. Now, should I put the ladder there or not? This is not the desired behavior in my opinion because honestly I thought that I want to be able to have an extra job when the goo is working. So I will put the goo, I will ignite it, it will go down, okay? I may go and harvest some wheat, create some bread for myself and come back to the goo and the tunnel is already ready and I will collect some ladders myself and put them and move down as I'm putting the ladders. So I as the player have to do something extra on top of what the goo is doing. However, 5 for the speed of air goo bomb was slow. 50 was crazy. I think 10 would be a good number and don't forget we will have to do 10 here. And because I changed these numbers, now I need to remember to come to the config file and change the default value to 10. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm using the reference here or not. These are all tags and tooltips. So apparently I'm not even assigning any default values here. Yeah, here, config default values, and yeah, you have it here. So Ergo bomb converted to 10. That's done. I don't even need to go into the configs file because I have my constants here. All the magic numbers are inside the mod reference. So that's that. Now, we fixed our towering goo. We added one layer of extra functionality to it. It will break the block instead of making them vanish. And honestly, I think it's a good way to dig down any straight line, especially, you know, after you pass the end dimension, because at that point, any player that is in the end dimension and kills the dragon, they don't like mining, especially for not tunnel mining, but for something like constructing something. For example, if you are gonna go down and find a spawner and try to, you know, do something around it, and you wrote down the coordinates, you come to the surface and you want to dig down. Now, of course, the tunneling will dig down to the bedrock, but that's okay. You can move down as much as you want toward the bedrock, drop a single torch there, turn it on, and then come back all the way up to the level that you want, and then seal it, and then break out of the tunnel near your spawner, for example, and that is your elevator, water elevator, or whatever you want to push the mobs up all the way to the surface. Who cares? You have it there. And I think for mechanics like that, it's really bothersome to dig down with pickaxes one after another, block after block, to, you know, just have item travels, mob elevators, item elevators, whatever. And things like this will make your life easier. However, the recipe for the goo makes it not early game friendly. So it doesn't break that hardship and hard working that you need at the very first days, but later down the road, it makes things easier. Now, in the next episode, I will come back and add something else to the goos. We done the air goo, we done the stone goo, and the towering goo. Now, I can use the same concept from towering goo and create a chunk goo and chunk goo bomb. These two work hand in hand with each other. So in the next video, I will come back and work on the chunk goo and the chunk goo bomb. And the reason I did keep these two up is that we will have more tags related to the goos that we will have to put there as we move forward. For example, the chunk goo will have its own blacklist. Don't get me wrong, it's exactly identical to our towering goo. We will talk about the reason in the next video. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.